Hey everybody, Greg and Ryan here, jumping into another episode of Castle Rock. We're breaking down the story, Easter eggs, predictions, and theories.
Let's do this. Let's break down episode 2 of season 2 of Castle Rock, New Jerusalem. The episode starts off where we left off with episode 1, where Annie is now in a crypt, cave, tomb thing.
It's a crypt of some variety with some like hieroglyphs or something. There's the scarab that we see.
She checks in on Ace, who's very much still dead, and he's crushed over this. Looks like he broke into a coffin of some kind. And inside that coffin, there is a body. We got a body, first body of the episode, and it turns out it looks like he's a little bit of a mummified thing, but I don't see any like crosses or I don't see any like stake in his heart or chest or anything like that.
Not distinctly vampire.
No, but there is this slick layer of goo or something all over him.
There's something gross going on.
Yeah.
Right, so we know that it's some kind of crypt because there are gravestones with names on them.
Yes. With that said, too, we noticed the like hieroglyphs or something on there, but it was just a beetle, and we're going to see plenty more of them throughout this episode, probably for the entire season, too. By all accounts, I want to say this is some kind of vampire thing going on here, but I don't know. Every day I feel like it's chipping away, or it might not be, but I'm still holding out hope these are vampires here.
I'm less confident. Now, as Annie is exploring deeper into the crypt, there's some running water, and we get a little bit of an Easter egg with the leaf floating down the stream and then into the sewer.
She's in a somewhat of a yellow jacket as well. Now, I wonder how long for second unit production for that leaf, if they were just like all day going, all right, there it is. That's perfect.
That is the kind of shot that takes hours.
Yep. I kept thinking, I wonder how long it took them to shoot that. I hope it was just the first one. Go, all right, drop it, and move on. But I feel like it could be 12 hours later, and everyone's still there. This isn't the right leaf. Let's get another leaf in there.
Or maybe even they could have started with something other than a leaf. Who knows? They could have tried
a boat?
Sailing a little boat. Yeah, right.
Now here's where my ideas of vampires start to fade away just a little bit, because you can tell that Ace's body is now being consumed by this weird goo.
There's some slimy
goo that
stuff.
I don't know what's going on, but later on you find out, this is probably what caused the events to transpire at the end of this episode. So keep that in mind. There's this weird goo going around.
She climbs down into a sewer and then proceeds through a series of catacombs. It seems to take a while.
She's running.
And then she finds a spiral staircase going up, and it turns out that she's found her way to
the Marston House. The house overlooked the town of Jerusalem's lot and was considered by many to have this evil presence. In the book, the house represents the evil and corruption that exists in Salem's Lot. Apparently, the house has a way of attracting evil people to it.
This includes Hubie Marston. Marston was a Boston hitman that apparently enjoyed killing and torturing young children and was responsible for several disappearances in the lot. He also was involved in satanic rites. He murdered his wife and killed himself in 1939. He was also in contact with Barlow the vampire.
Crucifix. Drop it.
Next, we get a flashback of Pop Merrill back in Somalia, giving some background. There's a few more throughout the episode of him in Somalia as a U.S. soldier.
Later on, we also see a scene with him in 1994 where the church praises him for helping out bringing refugees to Maine from Somalia. Now, this is implied that he did some really, really bad down there.
He's making amends for war crimes, perhaps?
Oh, yes. So Annie gets back home. She's talking to Joy. She can't find her necklace. Now, I went back and looked. The necklace is it's just like a heart. I thought it was going to be a cross because, oh, man, that would have been perfect if it was she lost her cross. And like, well, you're going to need that sucker sometime down the line in one of these episodes. But right now, it looks like it was just a heart she lost.
So really, that just leaves us with like, oh, there's evidence at the scene of the crime.
That's it, yeah.
That's mine.
Now, as a result of all these transpirings, right, she wants to get the heck out of Castle Rock.
And Joy, of course, is pissed. She wants to stay, and this would lead to them getting into an argument, which would cause Joy, with her hands already bandaged up, falls on a bike, and she cuts it right open again.
Joy! I'm not leaving!
Nadia fills Pop in on what Ace did to the home, And now Pop goes out looking for Ace, and by the way, now pretty much everybody's looking for Ace.
Yeah. And speaking of Nadia, she's starting to put together the pieces that Annie, one, she's not all there. I think she figured that out in the last episode. But at the same time, she's starting to figure out that they may be on the run.
So throughout the episode, there are a whole bunch of flashbacks that paint the picture of Pop's history with the Somali people and his family.
And Ace brought this up in the prior episode too about his past, where he told him to drop it.
Remember, Sergeant Major?
You'd be wise not to bring that up again.
Throughout the episode, there are a series of flashbacks that paint the picture of Pop Merrill and his relationship to other characters in the season. First, we see Pop back in Somalia as a U.S. soldier patrolling. Then we go on to 1994, where he's being praised at a church for helping the Somali community and the refugees who have come to Castle Rock. Next, we find out that he became the foster parent of both Abdi and Nadia.
Side note,
Ace is pissed.
Where's my fucking milkshake?
Finally, there's a flashback to 2014 where Pop wants to officially adopt Abdi so that he can hand on the family business.
Again, Ace is pissed. Now, when they're talking about witches for a brief moment, Pop says this.
They were Satanists, not witches. Made a bad deal with the wrong hombre, those folks.
Now, later on in the episode, someone finds Annie's necklace. And Abdi and Hassan believe that it could be squatters who are on their land again. So they have to go up to the Marston House. Oh no.
He goes into the house. Mm-hmm. We do see that there were indeed squatters there.
There were.
You know, we saw the tents before, and we saw the people, but, you know, people could be any people. But now, you know, they've got food cooking.
Now they're cooking. I don't know what
charred remains.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened, but their charred remains are there now. Hassan gets one brief moment with them before he's axed.
By somebody.
By someone.
Which is, you know, apparently Ace.
Yes, at this point it's Ace. I wanted to go with Space Cowboy from Gerald's Game so badly. I really thought it could be him because of the grave robbing and the fact that we have this tomb underground right next to the Marston House. It would have been perfect for something like that. But then as the episode continues on, and then we notice that Hassan himself, when he's dragging him down the stairs, you can see that goo again. It's like that wet liquid, just a little bit, but you can tell, and also the sound effects drive you to the point where you're like, okay, this is Ace. He's now risen.
And if it's not Ace, it's something from the crypt, but it's probably Ace.
Yeah.
Right, to piggyback on, like, is it Ace? There is the scene later with Chris where he's closing up shop, and
car alarm's going off.
Car alarm goes off, and
almost a Christine reference. I don't think it is.
Oh, that felt
close.
super Christine to me.
The headlights, yes. And
something about just the framing of it.
But what happens right behind Chris? You see Ace. You see shadowy ghost Ace walk right past him. So back at the hospital with Annie and Joy, Joy has got that phone that Chance gave her, and she's looking up her name. She's trying to find anything on herself and her mom.
She's starting to figure out that, like, not everything is right.
And at the same time, Annie's walking around and Pop finds her. And he's trying to figure out where the hell is Ace. He figured out that the dog is leading him back to her place, and now...
Right, he's got it figured out that she's involved.
And she comes up with a quick and smart idea to put it all on Abdi.
And that performance...
was great.
Was fantastic. Here we are, 2 episodes in, and in each episode, at least one scene where Lizzie Kaplan is able to just lean into the character and be amazing.
Joy hadn't seen anything I said, but he did not want to take no... He seems like the kind of man doesn't like to hear no.
I'm so happy they cast Lizzie Kaplan as this character because she is doing an amazing job with this performance, and I'm glad. I wonder if she ever looked in the mirror and was just like... cock-a-doodie, 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 cock-a-doodie. There it is. So after Annie gives intel to Pops on what's going on, Abdi is immediately swooped up.
Right, and what we get is basically like a tense interrogation scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, it shows that there's been difficulty with the family staying together since like the 2014 scenes that we saw before.
Yeah, it's starting to deteriorate over time.
And also we're maybe getting some insight into tactics that Pop used when he was back in Somalia. After that, Pops collapses.
Yep, and we're left with the cliffhanger of Abdi and the dog, and that's it. And you're left there. And then we're back with Annie and Joy one last time, where Joy tells her straight up, we're running from something, aren't we? What's going on here? She gets out of the car, and then what do we see again? Those beetles.
The beetles return.
They've returned. The window, you can hear them. And then she just looks at the back of her car, and who do you see? Ace. He's
Ace
back.
is back. Before we jump into our questions and theories about what's going on, remember to subscribe to this channel and hit us up in the comments with any of your thoughts on the story so far. In the episode 1 breakdown, I said that I was positive that there were going to be vampires. I'm already flip-flopping on a prediction, and usually I lean into them the more evidence builds against them. If there were going to be vampires in this season of Castle Rock, we would almost assuredly have seen them in the crypt Annie and Ace corpse fell into. Even without vampires though, the scarab symbols, locust beetle things, and the goo have to indicate something going on at the Marston House besides murders. But I will add caution since we got taken for a bit of a ride in season 1 where we were expecting a lot more supernatural, but instead got weird dimension stuff. And speaking of dimension stuff, besides locations, we have yet to see any familiar faces in Castle Rock. If there was a sure opportunity for that, it would have been during Pop's visit to the Mellow Tiger where a grouchy committee meeting was taking place to reinvigorate the town. All of this, of course, is besides Tim Robbins, who only a fool like me would suggest is playing a dimensional traveler stuck between the two personas of Pop Merrill and Andy Dufresne from The Shawshank Redemption.
Sorry, go on. It's all good.
As an aside to that, I don't think it would shock any of us if we see Tim Robbins return to Shawshank as Pop Merrill. Another big question mark to me is what exactly is going on with the Merrill-Somali plotline? In episode 1, it appeared like a simple enough culture-territory war, then it became a family feud in this episode. Where exactly is this going? Part of me thinks there has to be something even deeper below the surface to do with Pop's flashbacks to Somalia when he was in the service. I think we're gonna find out that there was more than just like bad war stuff. I think there's gonna be some supernatural weirdness and darkness from his experience there. Like it's not just, oh, he was a soldier, he came home with a lot of guilt and he set this up. I feel like maybe something happened to him there and he's bringing people to the Marston home and the area and all that stuff.
You don't think it's a few good men thing? He called in the airstrike, nothing like that?
He's part of it.
Okay.
Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
Some of those ideas are a little bit silly, but we want to hear your silly ideas down in the comments.
And we'll see you all back here later for episode 3. Bye-bye.